Said I ain't never made a wish, I made a plan.
I am Taqee Bond. I am the CEO and founder of What's the Move NYC. It took me a long time. It took me a good 7, maybe 8 years to get to this point, to where I feel like who I can say I'm the CEO and founder of What's the Move. Because in 2000, let's backtrack. In 2010, I got kicked out of my last college. So that's the third college I got kicked out of. I'm not ready to talk about that story yet, but it's worth it. It's worth a listen. So when you hear that story, please sit down and listen to it. But I got kicked out of my last school. I was super depressed. I didn't tell my mom until she came to pick me up from school at the end of the semester. Needless to say, she was pissed. But yeah, at the time, I remember I was super depressed. I wasn't really into anything. Right back to the projects, I went, and I was just drinking and smoking my life away, just outside, just doing nothing. I didn't really have any goals or anything like that. Because when I went to school, I went for communication, but then I changed my major to music. At that time, I did want to start a label, but getting kicked out of school kind of made me depressed. It made me not want to go for it. But, I have friends around me. I was actually managing one of my friends, FaZe, and he was kind of like the battery in my back, like, yo, come on, if you got me hype enough to do this, we gonna do this. Like, get out your funk. Let's do what we got to do. So from there, from like the whole year 2010 was just me looking for a job, trying to figure out how to start a record label and learn, like teaching myself how to manage artists. So, through that process, I started doing pretty good. I started booking him shows, booking him studio time, getting him beats, everything I was supposed to be doing as a manager. And that kind of took a life of its own. And then through that process, I started meeting so many people and coming into contact with so many different industries. And then I started managing other artists. I started managing an R&B singer. That put me in other rooms. And then I started managing another rapper. That put me in other rooms as well. But eventually they didn't want to make music anymore. And a manager without anybody to manage is just a fan. So I felt myself just kind of I was always in the right rooms. I was always in the space. But because I didn't have anybody to manage or anything really to do, I was just kind of there. And that's when I got the idea to do What's the Move. And it started out with just a newsletter. Actually, before I stopped managing the artists, I started hosting parties. Like, I hosted one of my artist shows by accident because the original host didn't show up. And my homegirl was the one throwing the show. So she goes, Taqee, you're good at talking. You're good with people. I want you to host my show. I'm like, all right, whatever. I'll do it. Give me a drink. I'll do it. So we started doing it. I'm hosting. I'm up there, and I just felt comfortable. I felt like I've been doing it all my life, and it just worked. So now the artist stopped wanting to make music. I'm just here trying to figure out, my path as far as becoming a personality now, since I'm hosting parties and trying to push What's the Move to be. What at the time it was just the newsletter. It was just I'm just telling people cool things to do. I didn't really think big enough to make it an app or make it an actual brand. It was just, we're just gonna keep the cool kids informed on what's going on. But seeing how many people gravitated towards What's the Move made me say, okay, well, maybe we should do a little bit more. So that was 2010, 2011, maybe 2012. I started taking What's the Move way more serious, because I started getting into other things and seeing my growth in other areas and started to put more energy into What's the Move. So around 2012 and 13, me and Q Shepard started piecing together the Word of Mouth show, which was Word of Mouth radio with me, Q, and we went through like 3 guests before we got to Chloe being the third host. Host. We got to Chloe being the third host, and from like 2013 to 2015, that was the thing. And we were just like one of the hottest upcoming radio shows. We had just about everybody on the show. And we started to see a lot of like progression with that, because I remember Elliot Wilson came out with a Crown with DJ Khaled. And the same day that he went on the Breakfast Club to talk about that episode, that same night he came on our show. So at that time, we like, yo, we doing something right. If we getting the same guest as the Breakfast Club on the same day, we're doing something right. And What's the Move was kind of at the time. It was like, cool, yeah, we telling people about stuff. I think at this time, the website came out. We launched a website. So we're telling people to come to the website. But mind you, it's 2016. People aren't really going to websites for much. It's either social media or an app. So at the time, we're like, all right, cool. We're just going to start bombing with social media. Like, we're going to just make sure every single day we hitting with events, like 100 events a day on social media, and just keep it flowing. But even that proved to be hard. Like, there were so many times that I'm like, I don't even want to do this shit no more because it's so tedious. Like, I want a way easier way to do all of this. And FaZe, who was my artist, like still my brother to this day, I was having a conversation with him, we smoking or whatever, and I'm like, yeah, and then for 2019, I'm gonna launch the app. 2019, I'm gonna start working on the app. And he's like, why are you gonna wait to start working on it? Why don't you just start working on it now? And from there, I just started teaching myself, what goes into an app, not just what goes into a successful app, but what goes into successfully promoting an app and getting it in front of people and getting people to actually use it and keep coming back to it. Like, that's the secret to it. Like, anybody can download Angry Birds, but if you're not going to play it more than once, there was no point. And luckily I took his advice, because now this year I was able to launch the app. I feel like all of that from 2010 up until now, like all of that was just filled with obstacles, because everything that I was doing there clearly was setting me up for this. Like, clearly managing was not what I was supposed to be doing. Having a podcast and radio show and hosting, like I still host from time to time, but that's not what I was supposed to be doing. So I feel like doing all of those things and failing kind of built this resilience in me that's like, that's not what I'm supposed to do, but I can keep on moving forward and doing something else. And whatever else I'm gonna have my mind on doing is gonna work. Now, when it came to actually building the app, it wasn't that difficult, to be honest. I think the biggest obstacle was the battle with myself, which was, am I good enough to do this? Am I smart enough to do this? Are people gonna like it? Are people gonna, actually, tell other people about it? Like, what's gonna happen? And I think that internal battle, I mean, I've had that my whole career doing everything I've been doing, but that internal battle is probably the hardest thing to get over, because nobody can rule you out but yourself. So if you're only person you're battling is yourself, you're the only person that can beat you, and you will sometimes beat yourself up. There's been so many times I wanted to quit with What's the Move. Like, I don't want to do this. It's not getting me where I want to go. I'm not making the money I wanted to make off of it in the time I wanted to make it. And everything is not what it seems. Like, it's not how I want it. But it took a lot of growth and a lot of learning about self, and a lot of spiritual awakening too. Like, just getting myself to a point where I'm confident in what I'm doing. I'm content with what I'm doing. And I know this is for me. And through that, like, I feel like I'm breathing fire now. Like, now you can't tell me nothing, And just getting over myself, I guess, would be the biggest obstacle throughout everything.
Okay. So, like, with the things that you've accomplished so far, even things that you say weren't necessarily meant for you, like, do you appreciate your journey?
Hell yeah. Because if I never would have if I never started out by managing artists, I would have never met Julius. I would have never met Chloe. I would have never met the same people that I started working with on other projects. I would have never met if I didn't manage artists. At the time, for example, when I met Chloe, she was a blogger. So she's at these rap shows, taking pictures, doing write-ups and stuff. And, that's where we ran into each other. Now look at us 5, 6, 7 years later. I have it's one of my closest friends, and we're building incredible things. So like, all those days in the dirt, all those days grinding just to make something happen, just to get people to notice that we're even doing something, all those days made us. It definitely made me who I am. Like, it made me, it helped. And on top of that, through doing that, I met so many DJs. Now it's not hard for me to find out what's going on in the city, because I know every damn body. Mm-hmm. So being able to go out and meet people, and again, dealing with failures, because dealing with failure is the thing that toughens you up. It makes you look at it like, well, listen, if I fucked up on that, I already failed on that. What else can you tell me? All I'm going to do is fail again and be right where I'm at, and then keep working forward. So everything I've been through built me for what I'm doing today.
Is there like a specific person that you kind of, I don't want to say aspire to be, but you got insight from, or something just from seeing them maybe from a distance, or something like that, where you felt like this person is like giving you something without you even maybe knowing them or something?
Honestly, Nipsey. Like Nipsey, like I've been listening to Nipsey music since. It's crazy because Nipsey's music was part of what brought me out of that depression in 2010. Like that's when I first caught on to his music. That's when the Marathon came out. That was like his like wasn't his first mixtape, but it was one of his biggest. And just listening to that and seeing like same thing, like damn, this guy has nothing. Like he just has $1 and a dream. And he's taken everything that he's learned from the streets and everything he's learned just teaching himself and making a business out of it. And he's doing it in a way that we've never seen, you know, a gangster do it before.
Right.
Like we've watched Jay-Z go from being, you know, Jigga on the streets to now Mr. Carter in the boardrooms and stuff like that. But Jay wasn't really a gangster. Nip was a gangster. Like it's different. So to watch a gangster go from that being the quintessence of what America thought he wasn't gonna be. He's exactly what America didn't want a gangster to be. A gangster that's giving back to his community and giving back to people and teaching people how to do things the right way. So now I'm watching it like we on this marathon together. Like you on your side working, busting your ass, making shit happen, and now I'm gonna be on my side doing the same. And just the things he would say, the books that he would suggest reading, like for example, the book Contagious by Jonah Berger. That's the book that gave him the idea to sell his mixtape for $100 and $1,000 after that. That alone, like just learning from him. Yeah, when I read that book, after I read Contagious, it changed the way I looked at business. It changed the way I looked at how I promote my brand. And just stuff like that. Like I met Nipsey once. I got to meet him once when he came to Brooklyn. And then I didn't really get to talk to him long, but just a quick, you know, I'm a fan, blah, blah, blah. Keep doing what you're doing. He asked me, like, what do you do? I told him, at the time I was managing artist. So I'm like, you know, I'm managing artist, blah, blah, blah. He's like, all right, well, keep doing what you're doing, bro. Just keep striving for it. I just like the way he handled, how he carried himself and didn't really like fold and change who he was or anything like that. He stayed who he was. He stayed true to himself. And he built the people around him in a way that I've never seen gangsters do. I'm from the Bronx. I grew up around them. I've never seen gangsters give back to their community this way. I'm used to the Nino Brown giving turkeys on Thanksgiving, not, yo, come here, little bro. Let me teach you how to do tech. Let me teach you how to code. Like that's I'd take that over a turkey any day. So like on Saturday, I went to the Entrepreneur Festival and I'm networking, but this is like one of the first times I'm networking with a different purpose. Like now my purpose isn't just to get What's the Move out, because it's like, it's the app. Go ahead, download it. You'll find cool shit to do. Now my purpose is, how can I help you? What can I do to help you? I'm well connected. I know a bunch of people. I have resources out the ass. Like, what can I do to help your brand move further? And that's a much more rewarding feeling than here's my card, download my app, go use it. I'd much rather say, yo, here's my app, cool, but what about you? What do you do? And then all of that, the generosity is like the biggest part of, and that's what I got from the documentary. Like generosity and building relationships is the biggest part of any brand, any business, anything you're doing, because that will take you to the next level. Like when I first got kicked out of school, like I was saying, that's like the beginning of the journey. So when I first got kicked out of school, it's like I was beating myself up so much. And as time passed and we started doing more and more, started, you know, managing, hosting and getting involved in every other thing, whenever we take a L, I go back to that and beat myself up. And that shit only makes it worse. Like not just mentally, but it's like, how do you expect to work your best if you don't already think you're the best? And that's not to be cocky and not to be like, yo, I'm the greatest to ever do it. But it's like, if you don't have that confidence about yourself, nothing you do will show confidence. Nothing you do will be accepted the way you want it to be accepted because you didn't put your all into it. And so I had to really kind of, throughout the whole journey, that's been a battle, like just me battling with myself, battling with, am I good enough? Is this good enough? Are people going to like it? But I'm at a point now, like I said, I feel like I'm breathing fire. So I feel like anything I touch, it's going to be the absolute best. Not because I'm the best, but because I'm going to put my best effort into it. Like I ain't shit, but I'm going to work harder than everybody else around me. You see what I'm saying? So that's going to change everything about what I'm doing. So that lesson right there, like it was a hard lesson to learn. That's a hard pill to swallow, like understanding your own greatness and understanding how capable you are. We write ourselves off before we even try a lot of the times. But when you find that balance and you finally realize how good you are at just being you, or how good you are at just creating, like nothing can stop you. Now it's like I take an L, it's kind of like, you take a minute to be like, damn, like fuck, like we messed that up. But after that, you already moving forward. You're already moving forward. The next day, you can't spend that time dwelling. Like I spent so much time dwelling on how much shit I did wrong instead of filling up that time with building to do shit right. So now I'm at a point where I could take a L. Yeah, I'm gonna be mad, I'll be upset, I'll get frustrated, whatever, but smoke a blunt, get over it, and figure out how we gonna make this work. We're gonna take whatever L we just got handed, and we're gonna make this shit work for us. Like I nothing can stop. I feel like I'm at that point now because I've trained myself mentally with that. Like I can't be stopped. You're gonna put a 10-foot wall in front of me, I'm gonna figure out how I could jump 10 feet. Like either way, I'm getting past this, or I gotta figure out a way to push this wall down. Either way, I'm gonna get past it. And that growth, I think, is the most important, because that really doesn't have anything to do with what you're creating. It's more, that's you. Internally, you gotta know that you're powerful enough to jump 10 feet. You gotta know that you're powerful enough to knock this wall down. And once you get to that point, you're unstoppable. The first thing I tell them is to figure out who they are. In finding what it is I'm supposed to be doing, after finding out that, everything else was so smooth. Like, yeah, you have your hard days, but everything is so smooth, and it's something I enjoy doing. You have to find out what it is that you're really, truly trying to do. And I think the only way to do that is to figure out who you are. What means the most to you? Where do you see yourself in 10 years? What's the end game of whatever it is you want to do? Because there's a million something ways to get to a couple $1 million, but which way are you going to take? And when you get there, are you going to be proud of the road you just took? Is it something you're going to look back on and say, like, damn, like I did that. I overcame every obstacle and I'm proud of it. Or is it just going to be, I went through hell to get here, and now that I'm here, I don't even want the shit no more. Like, you have to figure out who you are, what you really want to do.
What song represents your current stage in your life, career, just where you're at right now?
Stuck in the Grind, Nipsey Hussle. Of course I was gonna say. I mean, fun fact, before he passed, all I listened to. So when he passed, it was kind of like, what else am I gonna listen to? That's all I listen to. Between Nipsey, Rick Ross, and Jay-Z, like I don't listen to anything else. I mean, I hear things here and there. I might bump something, but like really sit and listen to music. Like when I use music for therapy, that's what I listen to. So I say Stuck in the Grind because in the song, like Nip is talking about, like, we going through hard times, it's hard days, but we here. Like we can't go back. We can't go back to what we was doing. So we stuck in this grind. We have to keep moving forward. The first shout out I gotta give is to my team. Shout out to the What's the Move team, because I couldn't do any of this shit without y'all. I'm proud to say there's a team of all black women because they get shit done. Like I had dudes be part of the team, and it's like, dudes just make excuses. It's always, I was gonna do that, but women get shit done. I gotta shout out just my friends, the people around me, everybody that's just been encouraging me and supporting me thus far. Support is mad free, so if you support, that's mad love. And other than that, I'm just happy to be here, happy to be walking on the earth another day. So I'm trying to make sure everybody has a lit summer and a lit rest of the year, lit rest of their life. So I want everybody to go and download What's the Move NYC, the app. It's available in the App Store and on Google Play. It's just, it's your directory. It's your social life directory that lets you know about parties, events, happy hours, restaurants, everything going on in the city. You can find out from What's the Move. So if you get a chance, go check that out. Take your significant other on a nice date, because we have a section for dating. We're just trying to connect all the dots for people. And thank y'all for having me.